This is the Miyabi Mizu, which is one of our two exclusive lines of Miyabi knives that we have at Cutlery and More. Now, this knife may look very familiar, and if that's the case, then you've got a great eye. And the reason why is because this has the SG2 blade with the Sushime Finish of the Artisan, along with the Micarta handle of the original Miyabi design, the Kaizen. A couple key features at a glance: an SG2 blade with the Sushime finished and a polished edge. The spine and the heel are both rounded, and as they come down into the bolster, you can see this flare out. The spine, the rounded heel, and the bolster all make this incredibly comfortable at the pinch grip, which is basically the same for every Miyabi knife. The handle is a linen micarta, which is an engineered material very similar to an epoxy. It's not going to warp or change over time. It is near indestructible. It is a black and gray toned grain. We have the red inlays at the bolster as well as at the stainless steel end cap, which you can see has the kanji logo, and there is a beautiful mosaic pin in the center of the handle. You can see the balance at the bolster here is ever so slightly handle heavy, depending where you put your finger exactly. So if you really like Western style knives with a heavier handle, but you want a Japanese blade, a lot of the Miyabis are either perfectly balanced or just a little bit handle heavy, so you kind of get the best of both German and Japanese worlds. Typically, a Japanese chef's knife that's 7, 8, 9, 10 inches long is going to be blade heavy, but with the bolster and the stainless steel end cap, that's where you get the balance in the Miyabi knives. The SG2 stainless steel blade has a Rockwell hardness of 63, which means that this knife is designed for edge retention, but you're just at that tipping point of where you can still put this on a whetstone at home when you do need to sharpen it, but you don't need to have the concerns of chipping or cracking your blade like you will with some of the much harder Japanese steels like the Miyabi Black, which has an MC66 steel, which is a 66 Rockwell hardness. SG2 steel is made with a process called powdered metallurgy. This is basically where they take various types of metals, grind them up into a really fine powder, mix them all together so they're homogenized, and then they start making the stainless steel. This process allows for different alloying elements to come together and form an incredibly fine microstructure, which ensures you have an incredibly hard steel, but again, forgiving enough that you can still put this on a whetstone and sharpen it at home. Now, a lot of people say that a hammered finish or a Sushime finish helps prevent product from sticking to your blade, much like the hollows on the side of a Santoku, a chef's knife, a slicing blade, and other types of knives out there. Now, there's a little bit of truth in this claim, but it's not exactly as people describe it. The thing about a Sushime finish with the hammered divots in the blade, they're very, very tiny air pockets. And what we found is, although when you are slicing something like a tomato, potato, or cucumber that's really wet and sticky, it will stick to the side of the knife much like a smooth blade. But what you'll find is with the hammered finish, it's easier to push the product off. So it won't prevent things from getting stuck, but it'll help them get unstuck easier. There's a lot of people that love the blade finish of the Artisan, but they're not quite a fan of the big, girthier, rounded belly of a handle. So that's where the D-shaped micarta handle of the Kaizen, which is so popular, comes into play here. On the flip side, we've had plenty of people that absolutely adore the Kaizen handle, but they want to upgrade from the VG10 to the SG2 stainless steel, and because they're also a little bit more comfortable working with a whetstone at home. But here's the deal, folks. The reality is every single Miyabi knife is top-notch. It all is going to come down to personal preference. But fortunately, because of our relationship with Miyabi and the feedback from so many of our Miyabi fans, we were able to create this beautiful Artisan Kaizen hybrid, the Mizu. So there you have it, folks. This is the Mizu, one of our two exclusive Miyabi lines we have at Cutlery and More, the other being the Koya, which is very similar to the Ko. It just has a birch handle. I'm Chef Brandon with Cutlery and More. Thanks for tuning in.